Tommy, the shop smells like a walk in the woods. What do you got going on here?
It does smell good. Well, we're actually going to build a project out of this material right here. This is actually red cedar.
Nice, all right.
And it's great for building outdoor projects.
Yeah, this stuff is rot resistant. So what have you got in mind for a project?
Well, I want to build a planter. We're going to use the 4x4 for legs. We'll use the 5/4 for the rails, and the panels we'll make out of the 1x material.
Nice. And so how are you thinking about the soil? We're going to put it right in the box?
No, we're actually going to use these milk crates right here. Remember Jen showed us a rooftop garden out of these?
Yeah, this is a great idea. So you take a milk crate that you've got left hanging around, and you can buy this filter fabric that's sized just for the crate.
Right. Well, that allows you to fill it with dirt. You don't need any drainage in there because of the fabric. And we're going to build it 2 wide. So we'll take 2 of them, put them side by side, and 1 deep. And we're going to make this one about 30 inches high, as you can see, but you can modify that any way you want. To get started, I'm going to cut my legs to length. Now they call this a 4x4, but the actual measurement is 3.5 by 3.5. Now I want to make it 2.25 by 2.25, which means I have to take 1.25 inches off of 2 sides. Okay, here is our new leg. The dimension's 2.25 by 2.25. It's a nice straight leg. What I want to do is I want to dress it up just a little bit.
Of course you do.
I want to take the outside corner of the leg and make it round. I also want to take the bottom of the leg about 8 or 9 inches up and put a slight taper on the inside of the front and the sides. You can see it like that.
Nice.
Now to make the taper, I made a jig to hold our leg so we could cut it on the table saw. So I put it in the jig, put a couple of screws in it. I just screw this in. Okay, so now what I've done is I've set the distance from the side of my rip vents to the inside of the blade, this distance right here. With the board held on an angle, when I run it through the saw, it will cut my taper starting about 8 or 9 inches up.
And it'll only take off this much right there.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so now what I want to do is I just want to flip it a 1/4 turn and put it right back in the jig. Now I'll cut it again. Now to cut the outside radius of the leg, I'm using a 1-inch radius roundover bit. Because the bit's so big, I'm going to use my router table. All right, this is the material that we're going to use for our top and bottom rails. And they call it 5/4 by 6, but the dress dimension is 1 by 5.5. On the bottom rails, I want to rip those down to 5 inches. In the top rail, I'm going to rip them down the middle, so they'll be 2 3/4. Okay. Here is the panel that we're going to use and the legs, put it together so you can see that the legs are going to act like stiles and the top and bottom pieces of 5/4 that we ripped will be our railing. Now to fasten our panels or our boards to the rails, we're going to use a dado on the rail at the top and the bottom and a rabbet on each board to make up our panel. To cut that rabbet and that dado, we're going to use a stacked dado head. Now to install the stacked dado head, you remove the other blade and then one by one you install a blade. The more you put in, the wider the dado cut will make. So we could do a 1/4 inch up to 1 inch dado with this blade.
And we're doing what today?
We're doing 3/8 by 3/8. And we'll cut the dados for the rails first. All right, now here are the legs. We're going to lay it down and screw it together upside down. Now what I've done is I put some spacers on the table because I don't want the stile and the rail to be flush at the corner.
Flush is never good.
No, so I want to recess it back about 3/4 of an inch.
All right.
Now I want to make it flush on the top, and I have to push down to make sure it stays tight against my filler. Okay, so we'll take the bottom rail, lay in one of the panels. Perfect. Slide this one down. Bring it in tight. Now, I have to allow for the expansion and contraction of these bottom rails because they're going to go like that. I don't want this to sit in there too tight, so I want it to float. So if I measure down, so I have 20 3/8. So if I just move it out 1/8 of an inch, gives me 20 1/2. So now that 1/8 of an inch will allow the wood to expand when it gets wet and it won't jam the panel. All right, so we've mitered together the 5/4 by 6 for the top, and now we'll just measure to center it so we can then take our cabinet and flip it over. All right, now we'll put the bottom ends to hold the baskets from falling down.
Ready?
Yep.
That looks sweet.
There you go. Well, let's see if the milk crates fit.
Yeah, as if. All right. So you know, with these in here, it just needs one more thing.
Yeah, we need to get Jen and Roger here to put some flowers in there.
Looks great now. It's going to look great then. Nice job, Tommy.
Thanks.